So I know that you've probably already seen 100 reviews of Hogwarts Legacy, but this was one of my most anticipated games of the year, coming in third place behind Starfield and Spider-Man 2. I am a massive Harry Potter fan. I absolutely love the franchise. I grew up reading the books and watching the movies, so I was very excited for this game, and since my channel focuses on open world RPGs, I obviously want to review it regardless of the millions of reviews already out there. This was recorded on the PS5 for those curious, so if you are familiar with my channel, you'll already know how this works. I go over the good stuff first, cover the bad stuff towards the end of the video, and right at the very end I tell you if you should buy the game, wait for a sale, or completely avoid the game. So without any further hesitation, please do drop the video a like for me and let's get straight to the point, and I will try to cover everything here as quickly as I can. Oh, and don't worry, there won't be any spoilers in the footage or the script of this video. So with all of that said, let's get straight to it. So first things first, this game is really great. Like, it has its problems, which again we'll discuss later on, but the overall game is extremely enjoyable. I've put around 30 hours into it at this point, and I still feel like I'm just getting started, which is fantastic for a game of this size. The characters you meet are really well written. I think the dialogue is a big standout here, in particular with a character you'll meet early on called Natty. In my opinion, it is very easy and seemingly very common nowadays for video games to not necessarily have bad dialogue, but just not great dialogue, but Hogwarts Legacy really stands out from that bunch. They do a fantastic job of making everyone seem at least somewhat believable in this unbelievable world. And I have to say, the second biggest standout here is just the overall design. No room looks alike. And as somebody that is used to a lot of places looking exactly the same since my favourite games are Bethesda games, I really appreciated the heavy amount of detail that went into designing not just Hogwarts, but the entire map. And speaking of the map, it's not huge, but it is quite big. It definitely looks smaller than it is. I remember seeing the map on YouTube a while ago and thinking, oh, that actually looks quite small, but no, it is quite big and it is very filled out. There's a lot to do, whether it be exploring underwater caves, ruins, animal territories, goblin camps, poacher camps, and a lot of other locations, including the many puzzles. Now, I want to warn you right now that this game is filled to the rim with puzzles. If you dislike puzzles in your video games, you might as well just avoid this, because you're going to be turned off here. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, as I always am. I usually don't like puzzles in my games, either because most of the time they're just annoying, or they're repetitive, or they're just outright not fun. But I will say I don't actually mind them here. I think mostly because it actually fits into the Harry Potter world, and it doesn't just feel like a gameplay mechanic being forced in to give you something to do. You know, it just feels very Harry Potter, figuring things out and finding secret rooms and what have you, but as usual with video games, the puzzles aren't very fun or exciting. You just do them and get generic loot. At this point, I've done every puzzle in the game at least once. I mean, I haven't done all of them, but I've done one of the same type of puzzle, if that makes any kind of sense, at least once, and I haven't found anything that's like blown my mind. Again, it's just very generic loot for very simple puzzles. Now, I cannot praise this part of the game enough, but the characters are really outstanding. Like, I can't go into details without giving away minor spoilers, and I want to avoid that, but the vast majority of characters seem real. And by real, I obviously don't mean real life. I mean, you can picture them being in a Harry Potter book or movie. Again, going back to the dialogue, they're just so well written, which helps. I do have a big complaint about NPCs, which we will save for later though. One thing I am very happy about is that there is not any overuse of fan service, which is something I was very worried about going into Hogwarts Legacy. You know, they could have every 5 minutes shown or made a character talk about something that connects with Harry Potter's story, and it just would have become annoying very quickly. But thankfully, they don't do that. They don't rely on Harry Potter and fan service to make a great game here, which is great in itself. And almost everyone is praising this, so I will go over it very quickly. Yes, the combat is a big standout and it's crazy fun. Unlocking / learning new spells, upgrading the skills, wiping out tons of enemies at once, it's all very fun. Now, obviously not the best combat I've ever played by any means, but for a game that's about shooting spells from a wand, they do a great job of making the combat enjoyable. Speaking of which, the haptic feedback for the PS5 is alright. It's just okay, which is fine. It's not up there with Spider-Man's web swinging, for example, but it's still good. Again, it's just not perfect, but that's absolutely fine. It works. Now that is all of the stuff that really stands out to me, so I do now want to go over some of my complaints and problems. As the title probably suggests, this is a great game, but it does have issues. Again, and I cannot stress this enough, the good really outweighs the bad here, but either way, we have to go over it. So first things first, character creation is bad. Like, I was very disappointed when they showed it off in marketing, and I'm not any happier now. It desperately should have been more fleshed out. I mean, you can't even choose your eye shape. You basically just pick a face, choose your skin color, eye color, and hairstyle and hair color, and that's it. Like, there's no depth to it. And this is maybe my, biggest problem with the game, so I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here. But speaking of customization, I've seen a lot of people praise this, and I just don't get it myself. The wand customization is awful. Like, it's ridiculously bland. You get to basically pick from 8 different wands, and if you don't like any of them, well, tough. Basically, you have to choose one. Each wand has 3 different colors that you can choose for it, but they're all either black, brown, or white, so again, it's just kind of bland. You get to choose what wood the wand is made of, and such, but it doesn't change anything visually, so it's kind of pointless unless you're a diehard Harry Potter fan like I am, and you know the lore of the woods and stuff. You can find wand handles throughout the game, and most of the ones I've unlocked anyway are really nice, but the problem is, if you find a wand handle and it doesn't match your wand, or it doesn't look good with your wand, you can't return to the wand shop to change the actual wand. You're just stuck with the one that you picked, which again really sucks in my opinion. I think back to Jedi Fallen Order specifically, where the lightsaber customization was insanely detailed, had a ton of options and really fleshed out, whereas here it just feels like they threw in a very quick and not thought out mechanic into the game because they knew that people would want it. It just seems like they didn't really put much effort in. I know I've ranted about this for a while now, but it just really sucks, and I cannot stress enough how disappointed I am in the wand customization. Now, I haven't actually experienced any bugs at all since I've started playing, which is very weird. That's just me though. I've seen a lot of people say that they've had a few bugs, but I personally haven't, which is great for me. Maybe it's a platform thing, I'm not sure. Again, I am on PS5 here. I will say the loading door thing, which you've all probably heard of by now, is kind of annoying. Basically, every so often you walk over to a door and it takes 3 seconds to load and open. Not the end of the world, and it didn't really bother me, and it's always been 3 or 4 seconds, so it's really not a big deal for me personally, but I know that it will bother some of you guys. Now, my last big complaint is a lot of the facial animations. In short, a lot, and I mean a lot, of the characters look like they're just moving their mouths up and down, and they don't look like they're talking.
Professors have agreed to create additional assignments for you outside of class. You'll be up to speed in no time.
So hopefully you'll see what I mean from that clip there. Now, I do want to take a second to talk about companions, since they have marketed this game as having companions. Yeah, there aren't companions in this game. There are students and sometimes other NPCs such as teachers that will come with you on a single quest every so often, but it's very rare that that happens. And it makes the game feel incredibly lonely, for lack of a better word. I really wish that you could hang out with the students you make friends with and have them follow you as you go through quests or explore, or even just being able to meet them at Hogsmeade for a butterbeer or something like that. It's just again really lacking. I go back to Bethesda RPGs, particularly Fallout 4, which had amazing companions that would just basically follow you everywhere, you know? I really wish that it was more like that. Very quickly, let's just go over performance. The game runs smooth. I haven't had any frame drops whatsoever, no crashes, no long ass loading screens, no glitches, nothing like that, which is so rare for a game nowadays. I'm genuinely surprised. I'm sure that there were a few glitches that I just didn't notice, but still, the whole game does feel great. Now lastly, to wrap up, should you buy, wait for sale, or avoid Hogwarts Legacy? You know I say in all of my reviews, but video games are so overpriced these days that it's very difficult for me to recommend anybody buys a £60 or $70 game brand new. However, in the case of Hogwarts Legacy, I do think it's worth it. Here's the thing, £60 for a game that you can literally put hundreds and hundreds of hours in is worth it in my opinion. This isn't a game that you're going to beat in 6 hours like Call of Duty and never touch again. This is a game that I can see a lot of people playing over and over again for many years, so I do think that it is worth the money or the investment if you will, so I'm gonna have to say buy it now. But anyway, that will do it for me. If you have any questions at all about the game, please do comment below and I will try my absolute hardest to reply to them all. Honestly, this video is probably not going to get many views anyway, so I will likely reply to everyone if you comment below. Please do drop the video a like for me and consider subscribing if you are new around here. I cover a cluster of open world RPG content, mostly Starfield, but a lot of others, so if you are into that, consider subscribing because I've got you covered. Anyway, with all of that said and done, I thank you all so much for watching and I really hope to see you in the next one.